Green light, show them what you got.
Hello, good evening and welcome everyone to round 9 of season 5 of the Race Club Championship. And tonight we have something a little different for you. We are at the Hungaroring, which those of you that follow Formula 1 would have seen had a race just this last weekend. But instead of our usual GT3 cars, the guys tonight are heading out in the GT4s. So they're out of their normal comfort zones. So hopefully we are going to see some really good tight racing. This Hungaroring circuit, known for being almost like the Monaco without the buildings, is quite tight around a lot of the track, but the long straight should give a good chance for some slipstream and overtaking into turn 1. So we're looking forward to that a little bit later on. Just to remind you the race format tonight, we've got 2 races for you, each with their own qualifying. We'll have a 20-minute sprint race to start with, and we're going to follow that up with a 40-minute, a longer race afterwards. None of them have compulsory pit stops, so they are both lights to flag. So there's going to be no sort of tactics regarding that side of it, which could have been interesting in the Hungaroring circuit because the pit lane itself is actually quite short compared to a lot of the circuits that we visit. Just to give you a little update on the championship, following the endurance round at Spa last week, we have a change of championship leader. Donardi, who was leading, had a bit of a nightmare towards the end of the race, had a collision with the wall when he was in, I think, 2nd or 3rd, dropped down the order and then picked up, as it went in for repairs, he then picked up a drive-through penalty, so I think didn't quite finish out of the points but was quite well down. So in the championship lead, Chicken Paxo was taken over, so he's just 15 points in front of Donardi. Bazuk's the first of the Bentley, he's in 3rd, closely followed by Jack Evans, Anun, who's on screen at the moment, and DB Kung rounding out the top 6. And then with just a few lesser points, Chris V Dub, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight due to work commitments. Then in 8th we've got Rusty GT, and then just behind him, the coming man of this season is Stormfly VR46, who started off fairly steady, but as the season has gone on, has got a lot quicker. And then rounding out the top 10 is the Brownster, who has only competed in a few of the early rounds. So that's your top 10. Just remind you of those scores, the drivers will be dropping their 2 lowest scores, so things could tighten up a little bit, because for example Donardi can't join us tonight, so he is obviously not going to score anything tonight, but in his overall championship this shouldn't have a major effect. So getting back to the action on track, we're just coming round turn 13. We don't have any atmospheric names for the corners on this circuit. Number 2 it. Total of 14 turns on this circuit, and a 1 lap will take you 2.7 miles to get round. And first across the line to put a time in is a Nun, who we know is one of the quicker drivers, and he's done a 1:55. And he, interestingly, has stuck with Mercedes in the change from GT3 to GT on a 1:55.0, and just behind him in the other Aston Martin is Banff. So they are very close on lap times. So who else have we got? We've got a little bunch coming towards the finish now. 21, Marge has just gone across again in the Aston Martin. Obviously that's a popular choice tonight. I think Stormfly is just coming round the final corner. He was the quickest. That's the BMW, the second of these two cars, getting a slipstream now. And he was in the free practice before this qualifying. He was the quickest driver there. So just remind everybody there watching on YouTube, if you want to get involved, let's hear what you think of the racing tonight. Who do you think is going to win? We're a little bit light on numbers tonight, but as we've seen before, quite often in a bizarre turn of events, it does seem to give us some quite exciting racing. So we'll just hop back. Oh, just unfortunately, he's just recovering himself there. Simo, one of the new drivers to the championship there in the American Chevrolet. This is the first outing I think I have commentated on, so I'm not quite sure what his pace is. So it looks like he's going a little bit steady there at the moment. It looked like he was recovering from turn 1. So who's that coming to the line now? Oh, who else has put a time in? Stormfly, we know, was going quite quickly. He had gone second, but he's now down to third because Banff has just taken pole with, or provisional pole with a 1:54.4. So I wonder if we can tip down into the 1:53s by the end of this session. So we've got Marge yet again in an Aston Martin coming round the last corner. Up to the line, what can he do time-wise? He's there, he's a little bit off pole there, but it's not a massive difference. So who else have we got coming towards the line? We've got DB Kung, who was putting in earlier in the season some flying laps for pole. And he's currently sitting there in 5th position. Now we've got a little cluster going across the line. Chicken Paxo, the actually championship leader there, he's chosen the Porsche for this GT4 race, and at the moment he's on the 3rd row, so not really working out for him at the moment. We've got just over 2.5 minutes to go, so most drivers are going to get a chance to put another couple of laps in. Who's that coming around the last corner? I think that's Simo just coming around to start his lap. I don't think this will register a lap time. I would guess by the way that line that car is taken, I think Simo might be on a hand controller, because Chris VW is our normal hand controller guy. So with the movements of that, or it may just be his connection to the internet. So let's have a look. Banff has gone back to the pit, so obviously he doesn't think he can do anything more because he hasn't got time to get out and do another lap. So let's see who else we've got coming across the line. Chicken Paxo is up around turn 8, so it's going to be a little while before he's back there. Oh, well, Banff went a bit early because Bazux in the other Aston Martin, he's taken provisional pole now, 1:54.1. We are knocking on the door of a 1:53. So there isn't very much of a jump to get that down a little bit further. Who else? I think Stormfly is going to be one of the drivers that could be up there. He's on his own tonight with a choice of BMW. He's normally in a Porsche 911. So he has decided to stick German, but has gone for the BMW, so for the front engine rear drive. So here we go, up to the finish line. May have just possibly gone outside track limits there. Stormfly doesn't go any quicker. Next one coming across is Chicken Paxo, who has jumped from 6th, under a minute remaining. So the only one in the pits at the moment is Banff. Who else have we got out there? Simo coming around, possibly to complete a lap, see if he can get a time in. Around turn 12, just needs to be a little careful. The track limits there, maybe cutting a little bit too much on the inside. Turn 13, where Max Verstappen had his little spin at the weekend, but no such trouble there for Simo. And then here we go, round the final corner. Just keeping it as tight as possible to that inside barrier, and then as soon as you get a chance, gas it and head for the line. So, can Simo get himself a time in here? Yes, he does. A little bit out off pole time there at the moment, but he's still in the race, which is the important thing. So, I think we are almost there. That is everybody, I think, gone across the line, maybe. Oh, no, that's Simo having a bit of a moment there. So, Stormfly is still on a hot one at the moment. Still being followed by Chicken Paxo. Who's that come up? Marge is there in yet another one of the Aston Martins. Here we go, round to turn 14, final corner. And across the line. Oh, goes quite a bit quicker there. He's on a similar pace to Anun and DB Kung, but didn't move anything up the grid. So DB Kung currently 6th. I think he's being followed around by Stormfly, so Anun stays 6th, Stormfly stays 3rd. Chicken Paxo across the line, he's still 4th. So Bamps in the pits, Anun is out there. He's the last car on track. So he's currently running 6th, so whether he can do anything. Works his way down to the final section of bends. Oh, look, thought he was running a little bit deep there, but got away with it. Still seem to have a car off at turn 1. Not sure who that. I think that's is that Bazix? And here we go, on the gas early and as hard as possible, heading towards the finish line. Currently in 6th, and oh, gets up to 5th place. So there we go, there's our grid for race 1. It's Bazix on pole, Banff in 2nd, so the 2 Aston Martin teammates out locking out the front row, and then Stormfly in 3rd, Chicken Paxo, normally the Audi driver tonight in the Porsche, he's 4th, Anun 5th, and DB Kung is your 3rd row, and then Marge is in 7th, Randy Flangepants in 8th, and then rounding out the grid is Simo in 9th. So let's just get our set up ready for the start. There we go. So just to remind you, we have got a double race header for you tonight. The first one will be a 20-minute sprint, so that tends to be a bit of elbows out, and then in the second race that will be a slightly longer one. That will be 40 minutes, neither of which will have a pit stop. So let's just have a quick look and see what is happening on YouTube while the drivers are getting their cars all set up. Well, I can find the right spot on my screen. Well, it's a bit quiet on the chat so far. Dave Cannon says, evening, one of our regular viewers, so hello to you, Dave. So, I hope you're enjoying what you're watching. As I say, unfortunately, we're a little bit low on numbers, but the good news is the front end of the grid is really tight. So, I would expect the racing is going to be fairly exciting, I think, tonight. We will find out in just a couple of minutes' time when they start off on their rolling lap. And it's great from the commentator's point of view that the 2 leading drivers have absolutely identical designed cars, so it always makes it really easy for the commentator to identify the individual drivers. Not that I'm complaining at all, not that I would do such a thing. So let's have a little think about championship. Well, Chicken Paxo obviously is going to bank some points tonight because Donardi's not here. However, the core thing is that they will drop their lower scores by the end of the season. So I imagine Chicken Paxo probably still wants to get his elbows out and try and get towards the front there. Second row, he can probably do something from there, maybe a podium. The other issue we have with this track, this first corner does seem to create a few incidents, whatever class of racing it is, because it is quite heavy braking into a very tight corner. So hopefully everybody can get round the first corner without too many dramas. Oh, hang on. Let's have a quick update. We've got more going on in the chat, I believe, than what we should do. Or what I'd actually see. So just bear with me.
10 seconds.
Oh, here we go. Bazix has said he hoped it's a good one, and he's blaming Jack Evans, who is banned for the liveries, which are absolutely identical. But there we go. I'll see what I'll have to work with what I'm given, I'm afraid, guys. And then Rusty, unfortunately, he was in free practice, but he has domestic childcare issues, so he can't join us, unfortunately, tonight. So hopefully we are still going to see some exciting racing. What we do tend to find, particularly with the 40-minute race, it tends to simmer through the middle of the race, and then towards the end of the race actually start to pick up. So it's always worth hanging in there. You think, oh, hang on, this is a bit steady, but amazingly, as the race goes on, people seem to make mistakes. It just seems to be that slightly longer race, and whether people lose attention or what, I don't know, but they do tend to suddenly go, oh, whoops, and all of a sudden they're in the barrier, like Denardi found out last week at Spa when he was leading. Effectively, there was another driver, Lager, who had joined us for a one-off race, and he was way out in front, and I think Denardi was second, easily there, banking some good points for the championship, and probably less than 10 minutes to go of an hour race, and threw it into the pit wall, or into the trackside wall. So turn 5 they're going through, or just coming to the exit of the corner before the one you're looking at. It's one they do have to be careful with track limits, because you can run wide on the exit, and the same with this one as well on the left hand side here. So they get 3 warnings before they get a penalty, so that is something that can come and bite them. And I think the penalty is a drive-through, so it is quite costly. So where's the commentator going to put his money? I'm not sure on this one. These Aston Martins at the front do seem very quick. Stormfly, who is 4th, that's somebody else that I think possibly we could see coming through. He was showing great pace in the free practice before, so I'll be tempted to watch out for that blue BMW with the lime green checker down the front of the bonnet. So here we go, round turn 13. Get themselves all lined up side by side, having to keep it under 70 kilometres an hour. Keep it all nice and tidy there. Simo at the back there, bringing the back of the pack up. So here we go, around the final corner. Here we go. We are about to go for the first ever Race Club GT4 Championship race. Waiting for the lights to go.
Green light, go, go, go.
And they've gone green. And it looks like that. Who has got the best start of the 2 Aston Martins? I think it is Bazix on the inside there as they come up to turn 1. They're spreading out wide. And that looks like DB Kung. Oh, hang on, no, the date is giving me wrong. No, it hasn't. The 2 Aston Martins are out in front. That's Banff and Bazix. Everybody's safety round the first corner. We'll get to the first timing mark, and then everything will get itself organised. So we don't want to be on DB Kung, we want to be at the front, we want to be on Banff, who, at the background there, I think that was a Nun running wide coming out of turn 4. So here we go, timing charts just sorting themselves out. That looked like Chicken Paxo running particularly wide there. I don't know if that would have ordered him a track limits warning. But everyone has got fairly well round. We've got a couple of drivers at the back there. Randy Flangepants and Simo just a little bit off the back of the pack there. But everyone's just starting to settle down as we get halfway round this first lap. And it looks to me like Stormfly there in the blue BMW. He's looking quite racy behind Banff. Oh, and Banff's run really wide there at turn 11. Can Stormfly do anything as they head down to 12? No, can't do anything there. It does look like Stormfly in the blue BMW. Oh, he's going for a dive there at turn 12. No, oh, turn 13, sorry. But at the moment, it looks like Banff is a bit of a cork in the bottle to the cars behind him, because Stormfly looks very racy, and Chicken Paxo in the yellow Porsche there is not far behind, and the Nun in the Mercedes as well. So there's a bit of almost a DRS train appearing there. So, and I think the cork in the bottle at the moment is Banff. Maybe he just can't quite get the warmth in his tyres as quick as the cars behind him. Oh no, that was Stormfly. He sort of half looked and then more than half looked, decided to give it a go down the inside of Banff there, and unfortunately he couldn't quite stop it, which is often the problem you have at these earlier laps, just they're getting warm from the tyres. And you see Stormfly doing the right thing there. He held back and waited for Banff to come by, because he caused him to lose that position. This is so much easier than what Formula 1 is in the penalties and so on. You just do the gently thing and wait for the car that you've knocked off to catch up. So the big winner in all of that was Chicken Paxo, because he was stuck there in 4th position at the time, and now with those two drivers taking each other out, that's promoted him to 2nd, and the one that is chasing him down is a Nun. So once these guys settle out, follow that little adventure, and talking a little adventure, it looks like the drivers towards the back possibly have had a little bit of an adventure. We've got Randy Flangepants there in the, looks like quite heavily sponsored Aston Martin there. Not sure if he's got a problem. He doesn't seem to be quite at full speed there. He had dropped back, and then behind him is Simo. There's only 5 seconds between them, so there's possibility of a little bit of a battle coming together there. But in the meantime, we'll see. Oh, hello, talking of battles. Excuse me. Banff has got his way past Marge there, I think, in the background, and so has Stormfly. So those two are working their way back up the grid. I'd imagine that Stormfly will probably want to hang on to having another moment of taking the chunk out of the back of that Aston Martin of Banff's. Oh, and it looks like Marge is coming back on Stormfly there, but can't quite make it stick. It looked like Stormfly went quite deep there at turn 1, but Marge is definitely hanging on to the back of these two at the moment. So the next progress I can see being is Banff trying to catch up on the back of DB Cook. Oh, hello. Looks like someone up the front has made a mistake as well, unseen by us. Oh, hello. Everyone's taking quite a lot of liberties there at turn 5. So, hello. And Nun has had quite an instant there by the look of it. He's got quite a lot of damage to the back of the car, so unseen by us where there was all that other action. I did say we can get a lot of action in these races, even with the lower numbers, and we definitely have. So that looks like a Nun is working his way back towards the pits. So if he's going to have to go for a long pit stop, that is going to cost him dearly. So the winner in that has been, I think, no, DB Kung was already 3rd. So one of the winners of that has been Banff and Stormfly, because they're already back up to 4th and 5th, and they were 2nd and 3rd when they had that incident between them. So it's all happening here. So I think we are going to see a Nun heading for the pits, I imagine. Yes, he's going to have to go. There does look to be quite a lot of damage to that Mercedes there. So that is going to cost him. He will come out with a fresh set of tyres, but that won't give him a massive advantage. So he is probably now going to be competing with the likes of Randy Flangepants and Simo, because I think he's going to come definitely out behind those. There'll be quite a bit of repair time. So let's hop back to the front. Now Bazak seems to be very much on a race of his own. We are only a few laps into this race and he's already 3.5 seconds up the road. So he's pulling out around about 1.1 seconds a lap. So I think unless he makes a mistake, Bazak should be able to control this race from where he is at the moment. Chicken Paxo obviously had that promotion up to 2nd place following the coming together between Banff and Stormfly. So the battle that I can see that is going to start creeping up is going to be DB Kung on your screen there. I think he's going to come under pressure from Banff, who we know has got a lot of pace in that grey Aston Martin there, and Stormfly, who do seem to be running at a similar pace. And just while we've got a little bit of a breather there, we've got Anun has said he's spun by himself and he's got more than a minute damage. So yeah, you're going to have to work hard from there, Roll. That is Anun. You've got Randy Flangepants and Simo as your targets to try and catch up. So hopefully you'll get back in the race. So a bit more from Anun. Oh, Anun is retiring from tonight as well, so unfortunately that puts us down to 8 races. So here we go. So we have got Banff with Stormfly on his boot lid of the Aston Martin. Oh, and it looks like Banff is going defensively. Oh, there's a bit of weaving going on here as they go down the main straight. Banff earlier in this race looked like he was under pressure. Now, can Stormfly do the manoeuvre this time without ending up doing pirouettes? He's going deep on the early part of the corner to try and get a faster exit and maybe get a run down into turn 2. I don't think he's close enough. Thing is, with these two now racing each other, they are falling away from the back of DB Kung. So here we go, 4 laps in. Chicken Paxo actually he's lost quite a bit of time on Bazak in that last lap. He's now 5.5 seconds behind, so I imagine he's made a little bit of a mistake there. So again, that looks like this one is easily going towards Bazak. But Banff there in 4th, who we're looking at now in the grey Aston, he's lost about half a second over the last couple of laps. Off the back of DB Kung in 3rd. Now, I think that's because he's battling with Stormfly behind him. So we're going to stick with this battle because I think this is where we're going to see the action. Here we go, heading down towards turn 12. Oh, no, we're going to... Oh, it's a repeat manoeuvre by VR46. I thought Banff did seem to be taking a slightly unusual line, and of course back on the scene again and just become the filling in the sandwich is Marge 21. Now I think we're going to see that Stormfly is going to try and pull over and let Banff back, but unfortunately Marge has got in the way, and Marge is not doing anything wrong at all. Oh, looks like VR46 had his elbows out a little bit, but there we go. He's letting
We're at the halfway mark.
Banff go again. And there we go. And that's Banff going down the inside of Marge. This is 4th position. But Marge is up there in 4th, and he wants to hang on to it. And I don't blame him at all. So we've got a good 3-way battle here. So to head down to turn 2 is... Banff going to have a go. It looks like Marge has run a little bit wide there, but that gives him a better line on the entry to the next corner, and it has. Banff has run a bit wide there, possibly a bit of a track limits discussion. And then VR46 is in on Marge as well, and as they go up to turn 5, he's on the inside, and it looks like those two have got the move done past Marge. But Marge definitely hanging in there, hasn't had the greatest set of results so far this season, but definitely getting it stuck in there. That is absolutely great to see. These GT4 cars suiting Marge there. Oh! And that's Banff getting a little bit wild there between 6 and 7, and VR46 is on the case straight away. These two are having an absolute race-long battle. VR46 down the inside there. Can he make it stick? No. They're on to turns 10 and 11. And again, in the background, you can see Marge coming in the copper-coloured Aston. VR46 flashing his lights. And there's Banff going defensive, his head down to 12. This is where they came together last lap. And it looked like VR46 was going to have another look. I think the place to look is possibly turn 1. And in the background there, you can see Marge there ready to pick the bits up from these two if they have another coming together. So we've got just over 8 minutes remaining. So here we go, round to complete another lap. Banff going defensively, go down the main straight. He's doing a little bit of weaving, trying to stop VR46 getting that inside line. So here we go into the braking zone. Can VR46 do anything? He pulls out, he's having a look. No, he can't. Excuse me. He can't do anything there. But, oh, and I think that was almost a touch there because it looked like Banff didn't get a very good exit. But as they head down towards turn 2, Banff is on the inside there, but looks like he may be running a little bit deep. And then VR46 coming down the inside on the exit of turn 2. Oh, it's all getting a bit touchy-feely, but they're all still pointing the same way. And look at that, Marge is coming back again. VR46 flashing the lights again. You can see him reflecting off the back of the grey Aston. So here we go, round turn 5. Yeah, I had to do some quick counting there. So, no, this is turn 5. God, I do prefer circuits with names of corners, it's so much easier. Anyway, here we go. This is 6 and 7, I know that bit. Oh, taking chunks out of the chicane again there is Banff. So he does look like he is driving very much on the limit here at the moment. These two seem to have pulled away a little bit from Marge there. Marge has made possibly a little mistake and dropped back a little bit. I can see we've got a comment from Stuart Packham, and I'll be back to have a look at that in a minute. I daren't look away from the screen because that's when the action happens. So here we go, VR46 having a go into turn 12. Stuck his nose out, but couldn't quite get the Aston of Banff under the brakes. So, next obvious chance is into turn 1. Definitely looks like the blue BMW of VR46 has got more performance than the Aston of Banff in front of him. Go. VR46 using all the track a bit more. Banff going defensively, go down the main straight. Over the crest down towards turn 1. Here we go, VR46 having another look to launch it down the inside into turn 1. Can't quite get close enough. Can he do anything on the switchback as we go towards turn 2? Don't think he's close enough. Marge dropping off a little bit in the background there. So all neat and tidy through there. Maybe VR46 with just 5.5 minutes remaining is deciding to sort of gather his thoughts and decide how to attack to make the move stick. Quick comment there, well, I'll say quick comment there, it's more like War and Peace from Stuart Packham's. Said he'd love to erase this this week, but he says pudding is imminent, so I assume he's having his dinner. Oh, and there we go, VR46 just look away between 6 and 7, just got across the exit of the chicane there, just in front of Banff, got the move done at last. That was a real opportunistic bit of overtaking there from VR46, not somewhere you'd normally see it happening, but we'd seen Banff get a bit scrappy over those curbs at 6 and 7, and I think Stormfly was circling there ready for the opportunity. So can Stormfly now pull away? He's 13 seconds behind DB Kung in third, so he's not really going to make any inroads into the podium positions, I would say. And I'm going to risk and look away, see what everybody else is up to. Well, Bazix, who is Bamp's teammate, is having a fairly lonely race. Got the lead at the start and has just basically cleared off. We're 8 laps in and he's pulled out nearly 11-second lead on Chicken Paxo, who is just overtaking Simo. I think that's lap for that's just lapping Simo there, who seemed to be doing a little bit of a rallycross option there. Now DB Kung is not that far behind Chicken Paxo. Oh, and Simo doing the right thing of getting out of the way there as a lap car, but taking a little bit of an agricultural route there. So yeah, DB Kung only 4 seconds behind Chicken Paxo, so can't allow Chicken Paxo to make any mistakes there. And interestingly, now that Stormfly has got clear of Banff, he does seem to be making a little bit of a move towards DB Kung in third, but the gap was 13, it's now 11 seconds. We've only got 3 minutes to go, so looking at where the leader is, we're going to have 2 more laps at the end of this one. So go back to Marge, who's just dropped a little bit off that battle for 4th and 5th. He definitely was getting stuck in there, and that was absolutely great to see, but he's currently running in 6th. And now a little bit of quiet evening there from Randy Flangepants, who's taking a chunk out of turn 3's curb there. He's there in the popular Aston Martin. And then at the 8th place we have Simo, who looks like he's remodeled the front of his Chevy there a little bit, but we're only 2.5 minutes to go. It's not worth him actually going in and repairing that because it'll cost him more time. So he's going to stick it out there for just over, just on another 2 laps. But he's just coming up to be lapped by VR46 and Banff. Just keeping himself out of the way there. Let VR46 through, and now comes through Banff, who is now being gapped by Stormfly by about 1.5 seconds. So okay, just under 2 minutes to go. We don't seem to have any developing battles. So we'll just stick with our leader, who is, yeah, he's going to have another lap after the end of this one. Oh, running a little bit wide there was Bazix. Compromised him on the entry to turn 9. But overall, this, he's going a bit wide there as well. So the gap back to Chicken Paxo has dropped back a bit from where it was, but with just 1 lap to go, I don't think there's going to be any dramatic sort of place swapping between now and the end of the race. Well, there might be if somebody's miscalculated the field or something like that, but at the moment I think it's probably unlikely. So here we go. So this is Bazix coming round to start his last 2.7 mile lap of this Hungaroring circuit.
Right, man, leader is on the final lap, give it all you can.
And so if we just pop back to see where Banff is relative to VR46. Yeah, and unfortunately, now that VR46 has got round, he is dropping away. Not by a massive amount, but it's been a couple of laps now since he got by, and he's nearly 2 seconds in front is VR46 of Banff in that grey Aston. So I think that one is probably reasonably settled. So let's just hop back. We haven't seen much of Chicken Paxo there in the Porsche. Had a fairly quiet race in second, got neatly promoted by Stormfly and Banff coming together at the I think the beginning of the second lap, and he managed to keep out of the way of the spinning cars. So he's had a fairly quiet race in second position, but still going to bag some very good points towards his championship charge. So we'll just hop back to Bazix as he completes his winning lap. So there we go, through turns 10 and 11. Down to 12. Slightly downhill braking here, can catch out. As we know with Max Verstappen on the warm-up lap a couple of years ago, put it into the barriers, but no such problems there for Bazux. Using the pit entry as part of the track there. So here we go. So race 1, 20-minute race win goes to Bazux as he exits the final corner and heads towards the finishing line. So a quiet but dominant performance there by Bazux. And coming through in second is our current championship leader, who is Chicken Paxo. And then in third, DB Kung just crosses the line there. And then the source of most of our action during this race, Stormfly, coming through in fourth, and just behind him Banff in the grey Aston in fifth. And then Marge, who was getting into that little bit of a battle there for fourth and fifth, comes through and does a little bit of a spectacular boff into the pit wall there. So next through is Randy Flangepants. Normally drives a Bentley in the GT3 cars when we use those. He is jumped into an Aston tonight. Looks like he may have had a little bit of an adventure. That bonnet shut line looks like it's not quite at factory specification. Oh, and he's doing a little bit of drifting now. I don't know if that's intentional or just because he's on screen, or just a little bit of enthusiasm over adhesion. So he's just coming through the final corner to complete his race. And just to give a last mention to Simo, who has crossed the line already, and he is there in 8th place. So unfortunately we lost a nun during the race there, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to rejoin. He had a little bit of moment all of his own, so that he won't, I believe, be classified as a finisher. So that will be the top 8 will be your result from race 1. So I hope you're all still watching out there on YouTube. Let us know what you think of the racing. Let us know what you think of the commentary. Only, of course, if it's good comments. You know, like to hear your feedback. We are going to jump straight into the qualifying for race 2, which will be a 40-minute race. So I am hoping the cars stay fairly close to each other, because, as you imagine, if they all get spread out around the circuit and there is 40 minutes, there could be an awful lot of waffling going on from me, but I'm sure that's one of the reasons you guys tune in. I can tell you all sorts of tidbits I've got on my crib sheet about the Hungaroring circuit. Oh, and Bazux has commented that is his first win of the season, which I'm sure he's right, but I'm just checking. Yeah, he... well, I'm not sure. I believe you, Bazux, I would like to correct you. I believe you won the Monza second race and the Suzuki 1 hour race. That's just commentators' notes. I don't want to. I'm just making sure I have actually got that right. I do believe I have. Yeah, Monza. Win at Monza 2, and yeah, win at the Suzuki 1 hour.
Green light, go, go, go.
Stormfly Banff. Sorry for the hit, second time you were parking it on track. Okay, well, I think that's all actually sorted itself out. I've just seen Stormfly's comment there. Dave Collins says, good race commentary, usual high standard of commentary. Oh, good race night and the usual high standard of commentary. Well, there we go. I'll have to buy you a pint next time I see you. So here we go. We are getting ready for the qualifying of the second race. They are all getting out there ready to bank a time. First one out is Randy Flangepants, and followed by, in the BMW, is Stormfly. So interesting to see Basic claiming this was his first win, which I denied, but I'll have that argument over it after the race. This has been a circuit of quite a few firsts. Damon Hill had his first win here. Fernando Alonso had his first win here. Jenson Button had his first win here. Nigel Mansell secured, I believe, the Formula 1 World Championship here in 1992. So it does tend to be one for firsts. Built in the mid-80s, it was one of Bernie Ecclestone's ambitions to have a race behind what was then the Iron Curtain. What the heck is that car on the track? Oh, Randy Flanchpants has turned up. He's changed car and he's come back with a KTM. So this could liven things up. He was allegedly putting some good times in with that the other night. So there's a car which is very light, very fast, but my experience is not particularly stable. So we could be seeing him picking that one out of the pit wall and the tyre barriers. So that could be quite an interesting watch come a little bit later on. So obviously wasn't happy with his Aston in the first race, so he's decided to go for a different choice. So I'll tell you what, we'll go on, we'll do something a little different, and we will go on board with Randy Flanchpants. So here we go. Not sure of the gear selection choices here, because this is not a circuit I've done in GT4, but we will do some good rough estimates. So this is turn 1. This second little curve here doesn't really get a classification. So we head downhill and then hard braking for turn 2 down to second gear, and then we can start to give it a little bit of throttle on the exit, get up to third, nip that apex. There we go. So here we go, heading up towards turn 4. This is one you have to be careful of track limits on the exit. Very easy to run wide there. And then up to turn 5, which seems to go on for absolutely ever. Again, this is dangerous. If you get on too early on the throttle, you'll run wide on that curb on the left there. So here we go, 6 and 7. Take as big a chunks as you can out of those curbing on each side, but there is some sausage curbs there which can give you a little bit of a bad time if you take too much out of them. So 8 and 9 is very similar to 9 and 10. Sorry, 10 and 11. Again, this is one you have to be careful on the exit. It is very easy to run wide. So here we go, down to 12. Hard braking down to, I thought it might have been second, but it's third. So now we go round to the back of the pits. Oh, running a little bit deep there. Not an ideal line there, but pulls it back for a late apex. So we go a little bit of a chunk out of the pit lane there. Oh, looked like possibly was going to go a bit deep there, but again managed to haul it back to the apex. Oh, and round we go into the pit wall. So unfortunately that spoiled that lap and the next one, and invalidated his lap according to the top left. So we were going so well there, and it looks like we are just going to get past. Who's that? I think that's Marge going by. So let's go back to our trackside cameras there. Haven't given you a run round the circuit. Comment there from Stuart Packham. Yeah, brave man in the KTM. Tokyo Drift incoming. I think that is yes. I had the same sort of feeling there, Stuart, that the rear may be trying to overtake the front, but I'm sure Randy is going to provide us with a little bit of entertainment. So let's just have a look where we are up the front time-wise at the moment. We've just over 4.5 minutes to go. We've only got 3 times posted as yet. Interestingly, that Stormfly time of 1:55.3 is quite a way off. We were in the low 1:54s last time, so I think there must be a little bit more time to come on, I would hope. Chicken Paxo's only 0.15 off, It's interesting, Banff and, well, Bazix hasn't put a time in yet, but they're nowhere near the times they were doing earlier. Now, this may be a temperature thing, of course. So let's see who else we've got coming to the line at the moment. I think we've got VR46, who was putting some good free practice times in, then didn't seem to be able to repeat it in qualifying. Now he's crossed the line, he hasn't gone any quicker that time. So who else have we got coming up? I think that might be Randy's coming up round the last corner. Has he got a lap banked in this time? Hugging that curve round the inside. No Tokyo drift into the pit wall this time. No, must have exceeded track limits somewhere, so hasn't put anything in. Simo pops in a time there. He's just gone, he's put one a little bit off the pole time at the moment, but he's out there getting another lap in. So Bazik's one who we would be expecting a quick time to come in from, and he's just coming up round turn 13. And then into 14 to complete the lap. Oh, look at that. DB Kung has just slipped one in. He's there at 1:54.9. Oh, and just been outdone there by Bazik's 1:54.5. So we are getting down to the sort of times that we saw first time round. Chicken Paxo, I think, had just gone. No, he's gone the further round. I thought that was him going across the line. Oh, no, that was Banff. So Banff currently in 5th. So one Aston Martin is on the front row so far. The other one is a little bit off, and we've got just over 2 minutes remaining. So everyone should be able to get probably another 2 laps in. So one that I might expect to be seeing to do a bit more is Stormfly. He's coming around now to start what will be his final lap. Out of 14, flat chat to the line. Can he go any quicker? Currently 3rd. No, didn't go any quicker on that lap. So who else have we got coming up that's completing a lap that we think might be doing something? Is that who's coming around the last corner there? Oh, here we go. Randy Flangepants having another go at getting the time in. Currently 8th position on the grid, just behind Simo there. Up to the line. Has he got a lap in? Yes, he has. So he's a little bit off pole with that time there, but he is still on the grid there in 7th place on the 4th row. So let's see who else we've got coming through. I think we've got DB Kung coming through. Now we know he's put some good pole times in during this season. So he's there, just 0.36 off Bazix at the moment. So who else is coming through at the moment? Excuse me, here we go. So with just 45 seconds of qualifying remaining, here comes Bazix. Can he do anything more? He's done a 1:54.5. No, still on a 1:54.5 at the moment. So coming through next, I think, is Banff. Can he get himself up? No, he's still languishing down there in 5th. So he's not going to be up there being able to help out his teammate on this occasion. So the one who could come up to spoil the front row party, I think, could be VR46. So he's just coming around to complete his lap. I don't think he's going to get across the line before the time runs out, because we've just got 7 seconds remaining. Randy Flangepants has returned to the pits, so he's decided that's all he's got in that KTM. So there we go, out turn 14. Heading towards the line. VR46 gets it onto the front row, just 0.2 off Bazix. So can DB Kung respond? No, he can't. He's off the track at, I think, turn 9. So his qualifying is over. Chicken Paxo is the only one that we might see do something. He's heading down towards 12 at the moment. So there we go, into this final series of corners. I think that is possibly DB Kung. No, it's not DB Kung behind him. No, could be. Oh no. Well, Chicken Pax obviously didn't think he could do any more, and nor DB Kung, so they've returned to the pits. Who else is coming up? Trying to see who that is coming across the line. Oh, it's Bazix, but he's already got pole, so can he do anything more? No, 154.5, so just the last car heading towards is Banff. Oh, and Banff gets it up to 4th. So he got himself up to the second row there. So great last push there from Banff, just as the time had run out. So managed to drag himself a little bit further forward. So there's your grid for our 40-minute endurance race. We've got Bazix on pole alongside Stormfly. And then on the second row, we've got DB Kung in the Mercedes alongside Bazix's teammate Banff, who is there in the other Aston Martin. And in row 3, our championship leader, Chicken Paxo, alongside Marge 21. And then in row 4, we've got Randy Flangepants, followed by Simo 469. So that is our grid for this second race. So just to remind you, it's a 40-minute race. There is no compulsory pit stop, so it's lights to flag. So what we tend to see with these races is tend to start off with maybe a little bit of elbows out for a few laps. Then it tends to settle, and then as things are bubbling up towards the finale, that's when things get exciting. We get mistakes come in. We've had people run out of fuel. We've had people have accidents. So hang in there with us, guys. It may get a little bit quiet in the middle, but it definitely should come to a boil towards the end. We've had a commitment here from Stuart Packham. He's going Bazix Stormfly front row. Well, yeah, it is. And an epic race by both of them. Okay, well, I hope you're right. I really need to get you on the commentary with me one night, Stuart, because I think we could have a real crack. As long as you can contain your language, young man. I think we can have a very good, interesting duet. So here we go. Just 90 seconds until they start their sighting lap. As you can see, I think we're getting a little bit later in the evening time-wise, so that will bring temperatures down. So pressures may come into play as the temperature cools down. Pressures can drop, and then the grip level drops. The drivers get from the tyres, so unless they've got it just right, they could have a little bit of a problem. So everybody just getting their setup right for this second race. That's why you can see the cars jumping up down a little bit. They're just dropping them down off what theoretically are the jacks as they are adjusting things, anything from traction control to ABS. They can get involved with fuel loads, and there's a mass of adjustments on these cars, way beyond my ability and comprehension, which is why you tend to pop on YouTube and things like that to find out what other people have done and shortcut to the ultimate result. So I think we're going to hop with Stormfly there.
10 seconds.
Just anybody who wants to get involved with this race club championship. A little bit light on drivers tonight because of work commitments and drivers being on holiday because it's that time of year. But if you want to get involved, get onto Facebook, look up Race Club UK, join the group there. Guys are all really friendly. If you want to know how to get involved, that's the place to go. Post up you're interested. We've got another 3 rounds of this championship, ending up with a 2-hour finale in Bathurst, which always produces great exciting racing, particularly with that tight section over the top of the mountain, which really punishes for the smallest mistakes that drivers make, so it can make things quite lively. So that will be one not to be missed, and hopefully for a 2-hour race I can find myself a co-commentator there, because otherwise I'll end up with no voice come the end of it. So where are we going to put our money for this second race? I think after that first race, I'm tempted to stick with Bazix, because VR46 definitely had good pace compared to the other Aston Martin of that grey livery team, but I'm not sure that he's got the pace to stick with Bazix. It'll be interesting to see, because Bazix was fairly unchallenged in the first race, particularly after VR46 and Banff came together at turn 1, I think on the second lap. So he was able to run the race effectively at his own pace. So it'll be interesting to see whether Stormfly, who I remind you was the pace of the field in the first race, sorry, in the free practice before the first race. So maybe VR46 will go for an early move, try and get in front and hold Bazix up. Or maybe he's got the pace to get in front and get away. I think it's going to be very tight between those two. DB Kung, not so, he was fairly on his lonesome there. He didn't seem to have the pace of Bazix in the first race, and Chicken Paxo was pulling away from him. But Chicken Paxo effectively is a little bit out of position at this moment. He's fifth at the moment, so he's not quite as far up as probably he would like to be. And remind you, Chicken Paxo is our championship leader. So just remind you, this is round 9 of the 12-round championship for Race Club UK. Normally GT3, but we've got this one-off race for you tonight of GT4 cars, just to liven things up in the championship. So here we go, drivers getting lined up side by side, making sure they're as close to that 70 kilometres an hour speed limit as they can get. Of course, if they exceed it, unfortunately, they will get a penalty, so they have to be really, really careful. And VR46 is looking quite racy there, I think, at the moment. Here we go.
Green light, give it all you can.
It's green and we're off. And the one that does look racy is Banff, right under the rear wing of VR46's BMWs. They're heading to turn 1. VR46 taking the normal racing line. Is he possibly trying to go all the way around the outside? Oh, and it looks like there could be a little bit coming together there, maybe. I think everybody got around there in one piece. It looked like, I think it was DB Kung getting quite racy down the inside, but he managed to make it stick. But Banff is looking quite racy on Stormfly at the moment, and the one that is up there, I don't quite know how he got that far forward, was Marge. He's up there in 4th at the moment, so I don't know if there was a bit of a coming together there towards the back. But Bazix is away and he's being chased by Stormfly. So here we go, halfway around the first lap. Bazix does seem to be making a little bit of an escape from Stormfly already. He did seem to turn his tyres on and performance very quickly in that first race. Banff has come through well into 3rd, and the other one that's doing well is currently, I was saying doing well, just as he gets overtaken, is Marge on your screen there, who is just getting overtaken by Chicken Paxo there. So Chicken Paxo up to 4th, Marge down to 5th, and then we've got DB Kung, who is right on the back of those two at the moment. DB Kung there in the blue Mercedes, and hanging on in the background is our Tokyo Drift specialist of Randy Flangspan, so he's not too far off the back of this battle at the moment. So heading back up the front, it's Bazix followed by Stormfly with about a second gap between them, and hanging on in the background is Banff. He's not far away either, so it looks like these top 3 are staying fairly close, and in fact the top 4, because Chicken Paxo is not too far behind, but that looks like DB Kung is having a look down the inside of Marge there, but Marge trying to come back on the switcheroo. This is great to see Marge so competitive tonight. He's really getting up amongst there in the front end of the pack with his elbows out, so that is great to see. So DB Kung had made the move down to turn 1, but Marge wasn't having anything of it. It came back to him as they had to run down to turn 2. And the one hanging on in there and he's not had appears a particularly spectacular Tokyo drift moment yet, is Randy Flangepants, who's hanging on there in 7th place at the moment. So let's hop back up to the front. Who's getting close at the moment? So I'm going to stick with DB Kung in 6th because he's quite racing on the back of Marge. And interestingly, Marge seems to be giving Chicken Paxo a reasonable level of pressure, shall we say, because Chicken Paxo definitely isn't pulling away in that Porsche in front of Marge. So Marge is definitely getting up there and amongst it. So just a reminder, it's a 40-minute race and there's no compulsory pit stop. So this is lights to flags. So there's no strategy to come into this one. I'm keeping an eye on things up at the front, but they are staying fairly stable at the moment. Stormfly is dropped about 1.2 seconds behind Bazak. So Bazak seems to be doing the same as he did in race 1, which is getting his head down and pulling out a gap. So they're just crossing the line now. Yeah, the gap's up to 1.3 now. So here we go. This is DB Kung having another go at Marge, but Marge does seem to have reasonably good pace here tonight. So I don't know if DB Kung could do anything into turn 1. No, there's all line of stern on the brakes. And in the front there, oh Marge, you're doing so well, and then all of a sudden it got all a bit squirrely and DB Kung is through. He didn't need a second invite. So that's DB Kung up to 5th and Marge down to 6th. Now, Chicken Paxo there, he is not that far up the road from DB Kung. So when the timing screens update, which they do any second now, keep an eye on that gap between DB Kung and Chicken Paxo, which is currently 2 seconds. So I think we could have a long night between us here. With 35 minutes to go, everybody is starting to settle out in what I would suggest is very much their natural positions. So we are going to be hanging around hoping people make mistakes, which do tend to happen towards the latter part of the race. So if there's anybody out there listening still, which I can see by the YouTube numbers, there definitely is. Your trivia question for tonight is, who was the Hungarian F1 driver that made his debut at this circuit? Not sure what year, and I think team-wise, I think it was Jordan, because we all know Eddie Jordan was after a bit of a deal to anybody that come up a big enough check. He'd let them sit in one of his race cars. So if you want to do some digging there, I'm sure you're all out probably on Google looking for it. And I will knock points off if you don't spell it correctly as well. So here we go. This is 3 laps in. Everyone's still fairly close. They're all apart. Simo's just dropped off a little bit off the back there, but he's certainly Simo is definitely staying more in touch than what he did last time. And looking at his car, it doesn't look damaged. So, which I think was one of his problems last time. He was costing him a lot of time there. So he is definitely keeping a lot more in touch this time. And also, I don't want to be the giving him a curse, but Randy Flangepants changed from the Aston to the KTM, and we know this is quite a lively car in its handling. He is hanging out there. He's still in 7th, and he is only, I think, about 5 seconds off the guy in front, which is Marge. So he's definitely keeping a lot better pace than what he did in that first race. So here we go. Oh, look at that. Isn't it neat? Everyone's like got a 2-second gap in between them. That's what a commentator really, really loves to see, because it generally guarantees there's going to be no action. So let's have a look what we can focus on for the next minute. Let's hop back up to the front. So we've got Bazaks, who seems to have a similar kind of pace advantage over VR46 as he did over Chicken Paxo in the first race, because he seems to be pulling out somewhere close to about a second a lap every lap. So we're coming to the end of 3 laps into 4, and the gap is 2.5 seconds. So Stormfly certainly isn't putting him under any pressure, and going backwards from Stormfly there, who's in second, to Banff in third. It's a similar thing there. But it's interesting that Chicken Paxo doesn't seem to have at the moment the pace that he did in the first race, because he had the leg up from cars in front of him colliding, but he's already behind Bazux. Quick mental arithmetic there, about 8 seconds in just 4 laps. So Chicken Paxo there doesn't seem to have the pace, and of course the 2 drivers that did spin out last time are in front of him this time. So apologies for the big block on the screen there. Another game on my system has just decided to update, which I thought was nice of it. Could have asked. So the one that might get tight is DB Kung here in 5th, actually catching up with Chicken Paxo in 4th. Because DB Kung, let's have a look. Yeah, he's had a win. He won the second race in Laguna Seca, so he's certainly got front end potential on that car. But on this occasion, he's struggling there at the back. Not struggling. That's a very unfair term. I do apologise there, DB Kung. He's certainly not crossing swords with the podium places at the moment, but he seems to be getting closer and closer to DB Cook. Chris Cook says Jorgen will catch and pass Ben. I do hope so, because we're like coiled springs here tonight, waiting for the excitement to boil up and froth over the top of the pan. DB Kung needs to make a little bit more inroads though, because he's still 1.3 off there. So he needs to just sort of take a few little more chunks out. We've still got, nearly 30 minutes of racing, so it does look a little bit closer there though, actually, doesn't it? Let's have a look. We're just coming up to the first timing mark. Oh, he's taken a big lump out of it. It was 1.3 seconds, it's down to 0.7. And talking out of chunks, actually Stormfly has closed up on the back of Bazux, but only by half a second, but Oh, and there we go. And that looks like Chicken Paxo made a mistake coming out of turn 7, which is chicane. And DB Kung, it was there really quickly, but they are going side by side. They've gone through 8 and 9 side by side. They are now going through 10 and 11, and it looks like DB Kung has elbowed Chicken Paxo out of the way. So, Chris Cook, you are absolutely spot on. DB Kung has got by Chicken Paxo. DB Kung going a little bit defensive there, maybe going a little bit deep on the exit. Yeah, it looked like he got a bit of an unusual line there, but plenty of runoff there. And he's through round and got that job done. Yeah, okay, Chris Cook, I will accept you're a prophet, but that's generally the job of the commentator, and I was already on it, I will actually like to point out, but if you want to take credit. But here we go. Chris Cook, you may be eating your words, because it looked like Chicken Paxo was possibly coming back to have a go at DB Kung. And to be fair, Chicken Paxo let DB Kung through because he was he'd made a mistake. So here we go. Well, interestingly, up the front, if we just move back up the front, because we just want to keep an eye out. Stormfly, as the race has gone on, and obviously everyone's starting to get into their groove, Stormfly has squashed that gap to Bazux. I thought Bazux had got this one in the bag, because he was pulling away nicely from Stormfly, so I thought he got the job done. But it appears I was probably predicting that a little bit early, because he is but looking at that gap, it was 2.5 seconds, it's now down to 1.5 seconds, so he is definitely as the tyres have grooved in, he's definitely making an increase in pace there and bringing himself that little bit closer. So maybe we do have a battle for the lead here. I'm just trying to see, where's Simo on the track? Oh, Simo's there, of course. So I'd lost track of a driver. Does look like Randy possibly has had a couple of moments with that KTM, because he is just a little bit off the back of the pack now, whereas he was fairly close. So Stormfly again takes a little bit out of Bazek's in the lead. The gap's down to 1.3, but the closest gap at the moment is still this battle between Chicken Paxo and DB Kung, which is still, the gap is under a second. So we'll just stick to this one for a second, see whether or not Chicken Paxo has the pace to retake the position. Coming up to the first timing line here. What's the gap now? Gap's over a second now. I will hop to the front so we can get a visual on how close VR46 there and that BMW, taking great bites out of that turn 6. This is one that I think is going to boil up, because it was, the gap had stretched about 3 or 4 laps in to 2.5 seconds. Now we're 7 laps in, it's down to 1.1. So it looks like Stormfly is coming on strong. I've got the impression these two guys are absolutely flat out. You can see distance in the background there back to Banff, these 7 seconds up the road. So these two are very much in the class of their own in this second race. So talk the close, Chicken Paxo's got that gap back under a second to DB Kun. Marge, we can see there just in the background of that battle for 4th and 5th. He oh, bit of Tokyo drift going on there from Marge. He's definitely keeping in touch. He's 3.3 behind, but as we saw in race 1, drivers can have comings together, and the and that can change the face of the race. So Stormfly's got the gap to him down to the leader, down to nearly a second, and Chicken Paxo is only half a second behind DB Kung. So you wait a little while for action, then it all comes at once. So here we go into turn 2, working our way down the hill. For those eagle-eyed among you, as they take this next turn here, look at the background, there's another bit of track. You can't see it very well there, where that Fire Ranger was parked, where originally the track had another chicane there, which made it even more difficult to overtake around the circuit. But thankfully, after the first year, they did take it out. So I'm not quite sure where to look, because Stormfly's got the gap down to 0.8 to Bazek's, but Chicken Paxo is really coming back fast on DB Kung. So we'll try and keep an eye on both battles, but I'm not quite sure which is going to be the one that's going to have the action first. Chicken Paxo using all the track and a bit more there. And he goes for it. I didn't see that one coming. Chicken Paxo looking down the inside at turn 12. But he couldn't get it done on DB Kung there. So he must have had a good exit at turn 11, because I really was very surprised. That is quite a short straight there. It's not an impossible place to overtake, but he stuck his nose out but couldn't quite get it done. So can Chicken Paxo do anything as they head down towards turn 1? He's right in the slipstream of the Mercedes. Can he do anything? Here we go, he's flashing these lights, but DB Kung's wider than that. Down through the gears, round probably the tightest corner on the circuit. Oh, and he's right on his tail there, looking for the inside as they go for turn 2. Can Chicken Paxo do it? No. DB Kung holds him off again. Gap at the front is under half a second, so we're going to jump back to that one in a moment as well. Chicken Paxo just run a little bit wide there. But let's head back up to the front as they head through 6 and 7. This is Bazux. Oh, and Bazux makes a mistake. And VR46 is through. Bazux went across the curbs there at turn 7. Lost a bit of speed, and VR46, we were right place, the right time for once. And VR46 is through into the lead. Now, we were thinking that one was going to bubble up, but I thought it might be a bit longer before that happened. So VR46 seems to have spent his whole evening battling grey Aston Martins, and this race 2 is no exception. So let's just hop back with Chicken Paxo and DB Kung, because we've got action happening all over the place. And Chicken Paxo is looking really racy again as they head down towards turn 12. He had a look last time. Can he make it stick this time? No, can't quite do it. I think DB Kung run a little bit wide on the exit, but he hasn't compromised himself into 13. So let's head back to the front. So Bazux looks like he's dropped a little bit off the back there of Stormfly already. I expected to see him coming back at him hard and fast, because he got dropped off because of the mistake that Bazux had made. So I thought he would be back fighting straight away. But it looks like Bazux may just be falling away just gently and slowly from the back of VR46. So, oh hello, we've had some action here, and in the background there, that's DB Kung getting it all spins of all directions, and he's just getting going out, and that's Randy Flamespants coming through there. And we've just passed half distance, but it looks like DB Kung, who was, as we know, battling with Chicken Paxo, got it all wrong coming out of turn 1. And just got on the throttle probably a little bit hard and fast. And let's see what he will have shaken out, I think, in 7th place. There we go, he's across the timing line. No, still showing in 4th. No, yeah, it's caught up. DB Kung, sorry, he's in 6th. So looks like Randy Flanchpants must have pitted. So yeah, so DB Kung is in 6th now, so he's got to get packed by Marge and try and catch up with Chicken Paxo. So that is somewhere around, Chicken Paxo is now 10 seconds up the road. And talking about up the road, Stormfly is already a 1.5 second gap on Bazux. So I wasn't expecting him to pull away that quickly. Maybe these later in the evening cooler conditions are making the difference. Just lower temperatures means lower pressures in the tyres and different levels of grip. So maybe some drivers have set themselves better for these conditions over others. So who is going to close on who next? Let's have a look. So Marge is only 2.2 behind Chicken Paxo. And I'm sure Marge will be very chuffed as he is keeping pace with the championship leader. So especially as we're now over half race distance. So I'm not sure if I've got Marge's best result so far. No, I haven't got that handy. I haven't had the championship to date. So, but I think this would be Marge's best result if he can hang on to that 5th place. So, going back to the battle for the lead, Stormfly, we've got that gap out to about 1.5 seconds, but hasn't been able to increase it anymore. So, but the other interesting one is that Marge, who I was just talking about, does seem to be catching Chicken Paxo. Now this is a bit of a turn up for the form book. Oh, you know, no disrespect meant to Mars. You would normally see him somewhere more midfield, and yet I know he's fifth at the moment, but he's on the pace of Chicken Paxo in front of him, and I think catching. So I don't know whether Chicken Paxo's got a problem. He's picked up some damage or something like that at some point. But he's got the gap there, only 1.3 seconds. Let's have a look, let's see what it is as they come across the line. I think visually it looks a bit closer, I might be wrong. It was 1.3, it's a head up towards the finishing line. Still 1.3, so it hasn't changed anything dramatic there. The gap for the lead, that has changed. That's over 2 seconds now, so interesting there with VR46. Sort of fell away from Bazux at the start there, but as he got into the groove, picked his pace up, caught up with Bazux. Bazux made that small mistake, and VR46 was through, but he now seems to have the pace to pull away, and he's now nearly 2.5 seconds up the road. So I think Bazux will be hoping for a mistake from VR46 in front. But it's great with VR46. I've known him as a racer from Gran Turismo, and he came across to ACC with Race Club, and I was quite surprised that to start with. I knew him as a very quick driver in Gran Turismo, I should say, but I was quite surprised he didn't seem quite on the pace at the start, but as the season's gone on, he's picked up dramatically, and he's already had his first race win in Laguna Seca at the first race, and it looks like he's heading for another one here at Hungaroring this evening. So we're just clicking down to 15 minutes to go. We'll just have a look back. It looks like after a couple of maybe slightly wobbly laps, Chicken Paxo has stretched the gap from Marge, who we're looking at on screen there. He's got the gap back to over 2 seconds. Oh, Marge, you're running a little bit wide there. You nearly did the Max Verstappen there. Now, the one who's making a bit of a comeback is DB Kung. So he's 7.7 behind Marge. Now, whether he can make any more inroads or not, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that gap, because Marge is falling a bit away from Chicken Paxo. But the gap to DB Kung is sticking at about 7.5. So let's have a quick look at Randy Flange Pants. I think he's had an adventure somewhere, because he's dropped off the lead lap, but he's still fighting hard with that KTM, and I think he got 7th in the first race, so he'll be in the same position on the second one. Just have a look. Did anybody answer my trivia question? No. Glad to see everybody's getting involved tonight. That's what I like to see. So okay, let's move back up the front. So Marge is maintaining the gap ahead of DB Kung behind him. He's keeping that around about 7.5 seconds, but both Marge and DB Kung are dropping away from Chicken Paxo now, whereas Chicken Paxo did look for a couple of laps like he was coming under pressure from Marge. He's now managed to stabilise that situation and start to increase the gap. Banff in third, having a fairly quiet evening there actually. Had pretty much a race-long battle with VR46 in the first race. All running a bit wide there by the look of it. Needs to drag that back, try and find the apex. It's the red-white bit on your right. But he's having a fairly quiet race there this time. He's about 16 seconds off Bazux in front of him, and Chicken Paxalik's now crossing the line, so he's about 10 seconds behind. So Banff is in a fairly safe position, doesn't need to sort of push it too hard with just 12.5 minutes to go. So I don't see Banff coming under any particular pressure. And in fact, looking back, Marge is now stretching the gap from him back to DB Kung. The gap was down to like 7.5 seconds, but whether DB Kung is carrying some damage from that spin at turn 1 he had earlier in the race, I'm not sure whether he had any contact with other cars. I don't think he contacted the barriers, but he is dropping away from the back of Marge there. So it does look like we have all settled out a little bit. What I will do, if you just bear with me, because I'm going to have to pull up a different screen, is we'll just have a quick look where this is going to work us out championship wise. Well, Chicken Paxo is definitely going to get a big pile of points ahead of Dan Clegg, but however we do have to factor in the fact that the drivers will drop the scores from their 2 lowest scoring rounds. The driver that will have a good haul tonight, and actually possibly we'll get him very close to Denali in second, but again we still got to factor in drop scores, is Bazux, because he's going to have a win and, subject to staying on the island, a second place. So that's going to give him a good chunk of points and pull himself ahead of his teammate. Bear in mind I'm doing this with mental arithmetic, so it could all be horribly wrong, but he is going to pull ahead of his teammate Banff, who is currently behind the next driver behind him in the championship. A Nun who retired early on, he's going to have quite a bad night because of not scoring any points. Sorry. A Nun is going to have a bad night for that. But DB Kung, who has had a couple of steady results, I would say, he will overtake a Nun in the championship. So again, we need to factor in drop scores. So, and the one that will have a great leap up is Stormfly, because he's currently 9th in the championship. My fag packet, well, that will jump him at least to 7th. Yeah, it'll drop him to 7th, but it will bring him very close to a Nun in 5th place. So he's going to have quite a good result tonight, Stormfly, from the potentially a win and the good result he had in the first race, which I think was 4th. So let's have a quick look, as the sun has definitely... So Bazux at the front. Maybe Bazux is coming in back into play here, because the gap's now under 2 seconds. Looking further back, everybody's gap staying about the same, so I don't see anything developing. I'm sure we all like to see at home. See if we can see any points where Bazux is getting a little bit closer to Stormfly. And that looked like, well, I was going to say that was a bit of a wide run there, but he did seem to bring it back down to the apex. We go up to turn 4 again. This is very difficult. It's a blind apex, so you're almost guessing where you're turning in to get it to the spot on part of the corner. And we just hugging that curve around the inside and getting on the throttle as hard as you can, not running too wide on the exit. There we go, great chunks of curbs here, you'll see. The cars, interestingly, seem very compliant across the curbs compared to the GT3 cars. But we've got that gap in front of us down to 1.5 seconds, so it was stretching out. So maybe as these track conditions are changing, Simo has gone to the pit, so maybe he's picked up a little bit of damage there. But maybe as these conditions are changing, it is changing the face of the race at the front here, because the gap's down to 1.2 seconds, where it was up to, I think, about 2.5. Lap time wise, let's see what they're doing. It's interesting. Look at the top left hand corner, see if you've got the resolution that the last lap time there by Bazux was nearly as fast as, oh, that's bit of a slower one there, unfortunately. But he was 0.4 quicker than Stormfly in front of him. So, oh, and we've gone deep. We've gone deep. That's going to cost us time. Had to make not the ideal line through there, and VR46 had a much better line, and unfortunately that probably has, well, it hasn't affected the gap quite as much. It's got it up to 1.4, but definitely I think we have got, let me just get my right angle camera before I return to the trackside at I was trying to find the right words to describe this battle at the front, because it's definitely, as you say, yo-yo between these two drivers. Whereas obviously Stormfly got by after Bazzett's made that small mistake, but the gap sort of has stretched out between them, and then closed up, and then stretched out again, and maybe with just 6 minutes remaining, we are looking for it to close up as we come to the finale of this race, because Bazzett, when he doesn't make the mistakes like he did there at turn 1, does seem to have a little bit more pace at this time than what Stormfly does. Let's see what lap times they put in as they cross the line. Here we go, round turn 14, final corner. Looks like Simo may have retired for this evening. He's down in the pit lane. Oh, I was on the wrong view to see the lap time, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the gap, because that will give us a clue. But the gap is down again to 1.3, so look like Bazzett's made a much better job of that turn 1. What can he do as we work our way through these first twisty bits? Seems to be closer to the curb, inside curb there, than what he had been on previous times when I was sat with the on-board with him. So let's see what the gap is. Oh, it's stretched a bit, so up to 1.6. These two at the front very much in a class of their own, because Banff in third, I think it's somewhere around about 24 seconds behind. Now, one little battle that might bubble up that I thought had settled is DB Kung there in 6th, trying to catch Marge in that bronze Aston Martin. That gap was out at 7.5 seconds. It's now just over 5.5 seconds. Now, we only probably have 2 laps at the end of this one, but if there's potential that Marge has got tyre wear issues or something similar, he may well fall back in the clutches of DB Kung. We'll keep an eye on that one. I think the rest of the field is all getting fairly settled, but interestingly, just as we moved away from that battle from the lead, Bazzett, he was 1.5 seconds behind. He's got it down excuse me, to half a second, but then I think he made a bit of a mess of that last corner. Yeah, it stretched out to 0.6, but I don't think this is over yet. We've got 2 laps remaining. Can VR46 hang on for the win, or can Bazzett in that grey Aston Martin snatch it from him at the death? So, as I reminded you earlier, these race club races do tend to boil up to a great finish, so it's always worth hanging in there and watching to see what happens. Oh, and Bazzett's go a little bit deep on the brakes. They got really close but compromised his exit out of turn 2. He's definitely looking quite racy there at the moment. What's the gap at the first split? Oh, he's stretched out to 0.7. Bazzett using all the track and a little bit more. And there, or if this Formula 1, he would be having track limits ruler smacked across his fingers, I think. So we've got to go through 8, 9, 10 and 11 before we get another split on these two. It looks like Marge, looking down in 5th, has stretched the gap again on DB Kung. Bazek's not done well through that midsection of the track there. Gap out to 1.1 again. So here we go. We're coming around to start the final lap. Has Bazek's got anything left in his armoury to do anything about Stormfly in front of him? These two are absolutely in a class of the field. I'm not even sure we're going to get a gap to the car behind, because it's not even going to cross the line before these two have finished the lap. Oh yes, we are. Go 26 seconds back to Banff. Absolutely incredible pace being set by these two at the front. So here we go, final lap. Bazek's flashing his lights at VR46, but I think it'll take more than that to put VR46 off. So here we go, into turn 1. Bazek's looking a lot closer now. The gap was half a second as they crossed the start-finish line. Unfortunately, I don't see anywhere obvious that he can have a go at getting by VR46. This is reliant on VR46 either making a mistake or compromising himself by defending and then losing speed on an exit. So I think Stormfly's just got to stick to his line, what he's been doing these last few laps. Oh, he looked a bit bouncy there across turn 4, but he's got away with it. It looks like Bazek's trying to go right round the outside there, but I can't believe that can be done at turn 5. So up to the chicanes of 6 and 7. Great chunks of curb from both of them there. No wonder I was always slow going for that chicane. I was actually obeying track limits. So here we go through 8, 9, 10 and 11. I think subject to making mistakes, I think VR46 has got it. Turn 12. But I don't think Bazek's is close enough yet. It's half a second gap. He needed to be right under the rear wing of that BMW. But he is closing up as he comes through 12. Maybe have a dive at 13. Oh no. Oh, maybe it does. Look at this. This could be a last. Oh, it's turn 13. And Bazek's has done it by the look of it. Can VR46 go at the inside? Oh no, they're touching. They're touching. Oh, and they're touching again, and VR46 looks like he's come off the worst of it. Oh no! Oh, I think there's going to be a steward's inquiry on this one. I would be very surprised if Bazek can. If Stormfly retains the win of that one. That was a great opportunistic move there by Bazek's at 13. He went down the inside there, and I don't think he did anything wrong at all. And then VR46 tried to come back at the final corner, but unfortunately turned Bazek's round. So we'll leave that one to the stewards. Banff comes through in 3rd for his really quiet and lonely race. Not that far behind him, Chicken Paxo actually, he comes through in 4th. DB Kung, I think that may be his best result. I do apologise if it's not, but he's come through in 5th. And then DB Kung just behind him in 6th place. Randy Flange-Pants had already crossed the finishing line, and Simo was in the pits. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that's your racing for tonight. We are here every Tuesday with Race Club at 8:30. We've got 3 more rounds of this championship to go. Glad you could join us. If you want to get involved in the racing and become one of the Race Club drivers, pop onto Facebook and search Race Club UK, join the group there, and we will let you know everything you want about joining Race Club for these championships. So I hope you've all had a great night watching. I've been Trevor Rolfe. If you've any opportunities for commentating, I'm always interested to hear from you. So in the meantime, have a safe week, and we'll see you here at the same time next week.